Hi there, my name is Alexis, and today I'll be introducing you to a language learning app called Sprachpartner. The app seeks to improve users' language proficiency with lessons, vocabulary review features, and user to user interaction. Sprachpartner was designed with Ada in mind. Ada is a 29-year-old expat that recently moved to Berlin. She works for a startup as a digital marketing manager for their English speaking markets. She also loves to travel to nearby countries in her free time and enjoys meeting new people. Ada realizes that the best way to connect with people, whether it's with colleagues or friends, is through language. Ada has several goals and motivations for using a language learning app. Although she doesn't need to speak much German at her job, she really wants to be able to connect with her colleagues and her friends and knows that speaking German will open up new opportunities. She also wants the app to help her gain proficiency in other European languages for when she travels out of the country. As a busy young professional, Ada doesn't really have much time for in-person classes, but she realizes that she'll learn faster by speaking the language and wants a way to improve her conversational skills outside of a typical classroom environment. Ada also wants to be able to focus on relevant vocabulary and to have the ability to customize her learning experience based on her situation. For example, she may want to focus on business vocabulary in German, but everyday French vocabulary for an upcoming trip. Unfortunately, Ada's having a tough time learning up to this point. She feels that her German skills are not up to par, and she's embarrassed when she can't have conversations with her colleagues or friends in their native tongue. She's also way too busy for classes and frustrated that there is not a more effective way to learn on the go. Ada is also finding that the apps she's currently using, like Duolingo and Babbel, aren't teaching her vocabulary that's relevant, or that lessons are taking too long to complete, therefore causing her to lose interest. Overall, what Ada needs is an app that does it all. It's immersive, efficient, helps her to review vocabulary, and allows her to practice her conversational skills, all while giving her the flexibility to learn anywhere. With Ada's needs in mind, I created a prototype that demonstrates some of the main flows that a user like Ada would be completing when using the app. One of these flows is the selection and completion of a lesson. This prototype demonstrates the flow of a new user who must sign up and create an account. Then they must complete the onboarding process, which includes selecting a language, identifying goals, and selecting a proficiency level. Then the user is directed to the lessons page, which allows them to select from basic sequential lessons, specialized learning paths, or immersive videos. While completing a lesson, users have the option to save words or phrases for future review. Then upon completion of a lesson, users have the option to repeat it to fix mistakes, move on to the next lesson, or return to the lesson's home. When creating this prototype, I strove to emulate the simplicity of other language learning apps, while also including useful features such as the ability to search for lessons or save words as you go for future review. For the secondary user flow of saving a word or phrase for review, users can use the navigation menu at the bottom of the screen to reach the study center. It's here that users can create flashcards, translate words or phrases, view bookmarks, and then review saved information with games, quizzes, etc. While users have the ability to save words and phrases as they go through their lessons, I wanted to ensure that they also had the ability to enter their own information for future study in order to further customize their learning experience. To determine the efficacy of the initial prototype, I conducted several usability tests and asked users to complete a number of key tasks. These included signing up for a new account, completing the onboarding process, completing the first lesson, creating and saving a flashcard, and translating and saving a phrase. These usability tests allowed me to collect constructive feedback from users. Some of their key feedback is reflected here, and much of it was related to lack of clarity and guidance. Overall, there were quite a few issues that, while not detrimental, had an effect on the intuitiveness and usability of the app. For example, users found some screens to be confusing, were unsure of which buttons to select, or didn't know when words were saved. In the following slides, I'll walk you through some of the improvements I made to enhance the app's usability. Alright, so during the onboarding process, users weren't really sure why they needed to set a learning goal if they were able to select learning paths already in-app. Therefore, I omitted this screen to allow for a more straightforward onboarding process. I also revised the Choose Level screen, which now allows users to select a level or gives them an option to take a placement test if they're unsure. On the lesson screen, I added more guidance for users. Now they can select an info icon to learn more about each section and tailor their learning experience accordingly. I also added highlighted menu navigation so users are able to orient themselves within the app. Based on feedback, I also renamed learning paths to focus areas, which users found to be more intuitive. In the lesson itself, I added visualizations to assist with retention of the material, such as a hand for the word that means hello. I also created the Hear Out Loud button near the Create Flashcard button, so users have all their tools in one place. Users were also unsure of the difference between creating a flashcard and creating a bookmark. So in order to differentiate these features, I placed them on different screens. Now users can save words or phrases as flashcards, and they can bookmark entire lessons. On the Study Center screen, I reimagined the layout to create more visual interest. On the Create Flashcard screen, I also added a feature that allows users to classify flashcards into a certain category for added organization. Now there's also a pop-up that tells users that their flashcard has been saved. And then finally, based on user feedback, I built out an additional flow which allows the user to find and message a Sprachpartner or tandem language partner. Users can type or record messages and use a translation tool to help them as they're typing. I ended up performing another informal user testing session after making these improvements. And while the prototype still needs tweaks, I found that many of my main usability barriers were remedied. So when creating Sprachpartner, I did learn quite a bit. I really enjoyed the user interview and user testing process because I was introduced to new perspectives, which ended up informing the prototype revisions. That whole process really helped me to realize the importance of designing for the user rather than for myself solely. I also found that I really enjoyed the iterative design process. It was fun to build upon my past ideas and mistakes with the help of user feedback and outside research. For example, I had to look up the difference between a flashcard and a bookmark, and that ended up helping me reorganize my app. Through the process, I learned that it's great to look to other apps for inspiration, but that it's actually even more useful to see what those apps are missing and to brainstorm which features you can add into your own app to make it more useful for your persona. And then there weren't really too many negatives or cons throughout this process because it really was a great learning process, but I do think that I may have spent too much time trying to refine my low fidelity wireframes. In the future, I will probably focus more on quantity rather than quality so I can have more ideas at my disposal. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed this presentation and thank you for listening.